U.S. Representative Jim McGovern has more than 20 years' experience representing the 2nd District, which includes the city of Worcester and a number of smaller communities in this region. He faces a challenge from Republican Tracy Lovvorn, who says voters are hungry for change. McGovern says he's proven himself to be an effective advocate for the district and wants to continue doing so.
I think I have a record of accomplishment. I think I've fought hard for the people of this district, but there's a lot more I want to do. I want to address issues like inequality. I mean, there are people working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, and but yet they're still struggling. If you look at the statistics, the corporate profits are skyrocketing and wages are stagnant. We need to address that issue. And so it's that and 1,000 other issues that I want to go back to Washington and fight for.
Yeah. Something that you also have your eye on, which some people might struggle to see, oh, how does this connect to a local issue? But human rights has been something that you've been very active with. The unfortunate presumed death of a Washington Post journalist, Saudi-born Jamal Khashoggi, and you recently have introduced bipartisan legislation around this issue that would basically put sanctions on arms and other things to the Saudi government. Why was it important for you to step up and put that out there?
Because I think if the United States stands for anything, we need to stand out loud and foursquare for human rights. I don't think my constituents, quite frankly, I don't think people in this country, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, want to provide military assistance or sell weapons to a government that is responsible for the kinds of atrocities that the Saudi government is responsible for. It's not just the Washington Post reporter who they assassinated in one of their own consulates, but it's
which they deny at this point.
Well, I mean, and all the intelligence that's being gathered basically points to the fact that he was tortured and dismembered at that consulate, but also their behavior in Yemen, where they're targeting civilians. They bombed a school bus full of children with U.S. provided weapons. So, look, I believe that standing up for human rights is not only the right thing to do morally, but it's also in our interest. You know, when we stand up for human rights, people actually like us. Look, we turn a blind eye to atrocities by the Saudi government because we've been getting oil from them or because they provide us some intelligence. But, you know, don't forget the people who are responsible for 9/11 all came from Saudi Arabia. And you know, over time, they continue to murder human rights activists, people who dissent. You know, they don't play a very positive role in the world. And my view is that when you prop up governments, authoritarian governments that behave like they do, it's only a matter of time before, you know, there's a counter reaction. Look, we propped up the Shah of Iran for years, and he was one of the most brutal leaders in the world, and we ended up getting the Ayatollah Khomeini because the reaction against him was so strong. I mean, I think it's in our national interest to actually care about human rights, and this administration's record on human rights is atrocious.
You're facing a Republican challenger this election cycle. Tracy Lovvorn, you recently debated, and public discourse came up during the debate, and it's something that we hear from people about here too. People are concerned that really not much is getting done in Washington because of the gridlock between the partisan divide, Republicans and Democrats. Is there an area that you see some disagreement with President Trump? Or, excuse me, some agreement with President Trump.
Well, I mean, I agree with him when he raises concerns about our trade agreements, which I think have been unfair to American workers.
Were you pleased with USMCA?
I was not. Well, I haven't read it all yet because he hasn't shared us with all the details. But I don't like his approach by putting tariffs on all these businesses. A lot of local businesses are being hurt right here in the 2nd Congressional District. You know, I agreed with him when he said he wanted to do something on infrastructure and help rebuild this country. Unfortunately, he has not come forward with anything, you know, that would do that. So, yeah, I mean, where there's common ground, I will meet him halfway and be willing to compromise. But here's another point. You know, there's a lot of issues on the ballot on November 6th, but there's one issue that I think is also important that people need to consider, and that is decency. And one of my biggest complaints about this president is the way he has conducted himself in office. I mean, he degrades women, he cozies up to white supremacists, he bullies people who he disagrees with. I mean, he behaves in a way that I think is beneath the presidency and, quite frankly, beneath any of us. If you want civility, you need to have civility at the top. We need to approach issues from a point of mutual respect, and I think his approach to this office, you know, has actually diminished the presidency.
something you spoke about recently was during the nomination of Supreme Court Justice now Brett Kavanaugh. You said that you believe Christine Blasey Ford. Here in Massachusetts, we have term limits when it comes to sexual assault, or we have a statute of limitations, rather, when it comes to sexual assault, 35 years. Do you think that if we eliminated those restrictions, that might help alleged victims?
It very well might help. But here's the thing. One of the reasons why sexual assault victims don't come forward is because they're afraid they're going to be treated in the manner that Dr. Ford was. I mean, the President of the United States gets up at a political rally and mocks her. Was getting death threats. She had to move out of her home. I mean, so yeah, we need to address all the necessary changes in the law, but we also need to create a climate and a culture where we encourage women who have been sexually assaulted to come forward. And I regret the way some of my friends on the Senate, treated her, the way they disregarded her statements. And I certainly think the president mocking her put it this way, I think it was disgusting.
Recently, NPR reported about the student loan program and how the program that's designed to forgive public servants after 10 years, some of those loans, the program isn't quite working perhaps the way that some of those folks thought it would, and that 99% of the people who've applied for that loan forgiveness have not received it. Is that an issue that people called your office about in any way?
I think we've got a couple of calls on that, but I believe in the concept. I mean, I think if we help pay for your college, and you work in an underserved community, I mean, that we can help repay your student loan. I think that's a good concept, and we want to make sure it works. So we're trying to find out where the problems are, but we need to do a lot more than that as well. I mean, we need to find ways to help make college more affordable for our young people. You can refinance your house if interest rates go low, but you can't refinance your student loans. We ought to do that. We ought to take the middleman out of the whole student loan process. Nobody should be making money off this. We should be getting loans directly to students at no interest or extremely low interest rate. We ought to work with businesses and incentivize the businesses to help pay for some of the student loans for some of their employees. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do. But this administration has not been very helpful on this. Betsy DeVos has been a disaster as the Secretary of Education, and we need a Congress that's going to actually solve some of these issues.